Welcome to Reading the Green, our golf and fantasy sports show. My name is Mike with Jordan and Kyle on Monday, June 10th. This is episode 113, the U.S. Open preview. That's all we're going to talk about, guys. It's finally here. We're so excited. We're flying in with no agenda, and we're just going to let it rip.
Let's go. I mean, so close yet so far away. I don't know what to do with myself.
We ever have an agenda for these?
I knew you were going to say something, Jordan. Kyle and I usually think through a few things to talk about, but too excited. This is awesome.
My initial pause there was for Jordan to say that. And
yeah.
Just giving these are just alley-oops. So yes, it is U.S. Open week. We're on our way down in about 36 hours. All of us have a lot of things to get through between now and then, but we will get there. What's the deal? Are you guys already packed? Is your golf bag packed already? Golf balls are marked. Outfits picked out.
I still got 9 holes tomorrow. Nope.
You're lucky.
My golf bag is not packed, but my suitcase is still open, but 95% packed, which is very abnormal for me. There's a decent chance some of these trips I would probably just pack the morning of. That's how excited I am.
Not for a 7:11 a.m. flight.
Don't put it past me.
All right, let's do a few things out of order here just so we can spend as much time on Pinehurst in the U.S. Open as possible. I'm going to start with my beer. This is the last IPA in the house. I do not plan to go to the liquor store before I leave, and so my wife will be drinking maybe some High Noons or THCs, but I have Estatic from Luce Brewery. I do like this beer.
I have a Foggy Geezer from War Pigs, and then I do have a Black Sap pull tabs on deck. I'm getting in the gambling mood.
Is the War Pigs, is that a just kind of back of the fridge deal, or do you actively buy that?
Actively bought it. Funny little quick side part to that. I had to walk in with the toddler in my arms to the liquor store, and he loves going to the liquor store because you get a sucker.
Lollipop. Yep.
Every time. Just loved it. But he would not get out of my arms. And I needed to get more than 2 4-packs because we had people coming and stuff like that. So I grabbed a 12-pack of this because it was a volume play based on what I could hold in one hand.
Nice. I remember going to the liquor store with my dad growing up and getting, I think I'd say a Tootsie Roll was probably what was being handed out. So Dum Dums are a good upgrade, but my kids are the same way. Everyone loves to go to the liquor store.
See, this is where
look for the star.
This is where it's different in Minnesota, especially Iowa. Did you do this as kid as Iowa? You just went to the grocery store and there's a liquor store that you buy with your groceries, right? There's no, you go into the gas 100%. Station and you get beer or whatever. You don't. Liquor stores are few and far between because every other convenience store has one.
That's a good point.
However, the grocery stores that we go to also give out Dum Dums, so it doesn't really matter. The kids just get a lollipop on litter. They are so disappointed when I say we have to run errands, and it's just somewhere that doesn't hand out a sucker.
We don't go any place that hands out suckers. Target stickers to get my kids excited, and then they immediately stick them on the carts, and I'm like,
Jordan, you abstaining tonight?
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about it, which is a surprise.
Monday. So it's weird. It's Monday.
Yeah.
Well, I guess out of obligation, we should just comment on the fact that there was a pretty good golf tournament played this past weekend in Muirfield Village, Ohio, just outside of Dublin, Ohio, just outside of Columbus, Muirfield Village, the Memorial. And, I think, what did I write here? There's a million takes on this already, but Scottie's worst performance in the last 4 months came on the day/weekend that he was arrested for felony assault of a police officer. And that was a T8 at a major. It's absolutely insane. There's no way. We keep coming up with superlatives to define how great of golf he's playing because the perspective is just really hard to find. So there's a lot of funny takes out there after this weekend's win.
But wasn't it more crazy after everything that came out and show us how stupid the whole situation was. But anyway, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole. Go ahead, Jared.
Doesn't it all correspond to him switching to a mallet putter?
There were a lot of takes on that, and people in Rory getting all the credit for it. But yeah, it does. It does actually correlate to that. And another thing that I thought I had this take, I looked it up because I thought I was being clever, but I think I saw maybe Sobel already on this when I went on Twitter a couple hours ahead of me. This is Scheffler's first professional win after the month of April, outside of the Hero World Challenge, like a real PGA Tour season event. This is his first win after the month of April.
And especially the run he's on, I have nothing else to say, I guess, about him at Memorial. It's crazy. It makes it really hard to bet and figure out your DFS this week. But the last thing I was going to say about the Memorial is Shane Lowry shot like a 109 or something crazy on Sunday and just torpedoed any fun I was about to have. And it just went downhill for me from there. I didn't want to watch it anymore.
He holed 2 shots out of a fairway for eagle this week and shot 85 in another round. I actually was trying to think of who might have a little bit of game around Pinehurst, not to get into the U.S. Open preview, but I was kind of like, Shane Lowry, he's been playing great. You know, he really hasn't been playing great. And I think he's come up with a couple of ridiculous putting weeks and then stuff like this where he's holing out shots and it's covered up a lot of bad stuff in his game, but all comes crashing down with an 85 on 85. I mean, I know it was tough at the Village on Sunday, but 85 is a lot.
Who are the 3 golfers that still finished worse than him after his 85?
Was Will Zalatoris one?
Nope.
He was close, wasn't he? Didn't he shoot like a
one no name, some Jay Koivan?
Yeah, he's an amateur.
We talked about last week.
Yep. Well, I didn't know. And then Cam Young and Cam Davis, both.
I was gonna say Cam Young, yeah.
Worse than him.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was good. Like, we
tough.
want to see this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And guess who finished right around him? Tommy Tables. Guess who texted about Tommy Tables at 9 a.m. on Thursday morning?
Who's gonna win
Tommy
this
was 4 under after like 6, and I was like, yeah, of course Tables would win the Memorial. He was even parred like the next hour.
What was my response to that, Jordan?
You were like, check Thursday 9 a.m. text.
Yeah.
I do that just to rile you guys up. Couple of really quick RTG things here. Listener League Saturday end of day. It was Jordan, Kyle, me, top 3 spots, and I couldn't get it done on Sunday. Sorry. I was really looking forward to the trifecta, and you guys finished 1 and 2. Congrats. I don't know if it's ever happened, or it's been a while.
Yeah. I mean, it's been the first time I've won money in a long time in that. And the sad thing, Mike, you'll appreciate this, is I actually got second in my Tamarack League with that lineup.
Wow.
Someone
I
beat me
like
by
that. Just doubling down.
By 2 points.
Well, Kyle, question for you, lineup wise. We had a lot of debate offline about, just given the way the pricing shook out and how good the leaderboards had been in past years at the Memorial, this whole idea of, if you play Scottie at 13-1, was he 13-1? 13-5? Where was he? 13-1? If you played him that expensive, you couldn't realistically play another stud or even 2 more studs and get, be able to hit 3 out of the top 5 or 3 out of the top 10. And do you feel, whereas if you were to fade Scottie, you could very easily fit in a whole bunch of guys with win equity. Do you think that paid off?
Yes, but it was the more narrow of a path than I would have liked to see it, just because it wasn't so top heavy of the leaderboard. I mean, you could have done a Colin Ludwig start and crammed in Hadwin, Bizatenho, Sepstrak, and probably even Sanjay, I'm guessing, something of that line. And, you would have had the nuts there. Where if you went Scottie, I mean, you maybe Scottie, Colin, and then a couple of those other guys, you could have been in the same boat. But It was unfortunate because at one point it did look like the play. You had Xander up there. You had some other guys, Victor Hovland, who just ejected with 77, 75 in the weekend. Rory, even 73, 76. So I'm guessing the Optimal still had Scottie.
Yeah, it felt like it on Friday, like we were onto it. It was like you can make some money in a GPP without playing Scottie, but it quickly turned sour over the weekend. All those guys backed up, but so Scottie ends up winning the tournament at -8. Our top contributor 2 weeks in a row, Spencer Aguiar over at Rotoballer. His tiered lineup: Scottie, Morikawa, Finau, Henley, Eckroat. Was pretty solid. You would have had to find one other guy there, but that was a pretty good set. Gutsiest play: Landon Selinsky coming up with Sungjae. Sungjae has been awful this year, so eventually you figured it was going to turn around. This isn't really the spot I would have figured it would have happened, but Sungjae putting together a nice weekend, and then Cantlay, that idiot. Like, nobody wanted to play him this week, but it was really hard to ignore.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hard to ignore like 10% ownership on Patrick Cantlay, who has owned this golf course in a field where 10 guys are going to get cut. And he hasn't really been that bad this year. I mean, not like Cantlay levels, but not that bad. And then he shoots 100 on Friday.
Last little note there in Sungjae, just might be interesting going into this week because it really hadn't been on my radar. But RBC, he was 12th. Wells Fargo was 4th. Miscut at PGA, but then 9th and 8th at the Schwab and Memorial. He's been great off the tee, great with the putter, great, pretty dang good around the greens as well. Just interesting.
Yeah, I pretty much blocked him from memory, but that's a nice little run the last month. Jordan, we were chatting a little bit on it before the show, but one and done. Anyone come up with Scottie this week? Memorial.
We had some movement. Yeah, three Scotties got 4 million each, and then the 5 Collins. And weird, you guys picked the same ones. I'm proud of you guys for making these.
I don't think we're gonna pick this. I don't think we'll pick the same one this week.
We didn't talk about it at all in there. But part of it is the workshopping of the Survivor pick probably
helps.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so we do have a Book, who we're golfing with Wednesday, is still in the lead. But Champles had Morikawa and got $2 million, overtook me for second place. But yeah, there's now 10 people basically at 10 million or above. So
who's in that grouping, Jordan? I mean, who's 7th? Who's 10th?
Oh yeah, you guys have put on your big boy pants here.
Coming up. Watch out, Book coming for you.
Last thing I'll say is Survivor Reloaded. We're down to 6 players. We're still in. There's quite a bit of money on the line here if we can survive. I want to get into this. We're going to save it just on the other side of the course preview. But we went Ludwig and Vic this week. It was no sweat. Both those guys got off to a good start on Thursday. One person in the pool went down with Cantlay. So it's been really, really messy this week, and I got a few thoughts. So rest of the show, we're going to talk about the U.S. Open. It's a little bit on the golf, a little bit on the trip. Let's get started with maybe we'll just get started with the trip details and lay all that out so people know what to expect. I'm seeing the golf Twitter influencers already down there. So Matt Gannon's been playing at Mid Pines today, I think. And so just some of the photos, I'm really excited. So we're flying out Wednesday morning, catching up with RTG listener Buke. Going to play in the Raleigh-Durham area on Wednesday afternoon, leisurely. Although there's gonna be some money on the line. It sounds. I mean, the chatter has been 7 days in advance trying to figure out what game and how much money. It sounds like it's going to be some kind of rotating Vegas game, which, if the listeners aren't familiar with Vegas, you can go look it up, but it can get sideways pretty quickly depending on how much money you're playing for. So I look forward to that, especially how erratic most of our games are right now.
Oh, okay. One handicap.
It's going up a full stroke every round I play, just so you know. So following golf, we'll head down to Pinehurst and meet up with a handful of, we talked about that last show. We'll meet up with a handful of other people in the Koziak extended family, and I don't know, settle down a little bit. We're going to have a U.S. Open Calcutta maybe that we have to get on, Jordan. We're going to maybe have a round table there because it will close at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be time after dinner. I think that's a good activity.
Wait, did we pay you for the PGA Championship one?
We'll settle that up. I don't think so. I got to check the records.
Okay.
Thanks
think
for
I
holding yourself. Thanks for holding yourself accountable for that though.
Yeah.
Because I would have forgotten.
We Venmo each other a fair amount of money, so I never
I know.
know what I've paid and what I haven't paid.
Thursday, all day at the tournament. I'm not sure what time the first tee time is. The tee time's out. They come out tomorrow.
We won't be there.
Well, Thursday. I'm just saying Thursday, we'll be out at the tournament all day long. Kyle, you said first tee time to last tee time Thursday.
I did not say that.
I think it should be kind of early because that's when you can get some lower crowds, maybe see some players up close, hang out on the range a little bit. But we need to leave early enough so we can get over to Pinehurst Brewery. It's not going to be busy at all. I guarantee it.
Wait, so why do we need to leave early?
I'm joking. It's going to be busy. The whole town is going to be there. This town is tiny. It's going to be busy everywhere. I mean, I'm worried about driving. Friday, we're playing golf at the Mid Pines Inn. So we'll play at Mid Pines in the morning and then across the street over at Southern Pines. We talked a little bit about the golf courses. Shotgun on Mid Pines. So apologies, you won't necessarily get to play the course in its intended order. But for live golf fans, that's normal.
We have our starting hole.
Do we? I haven't looked.
I don't know. I'm asking you.
They haven't sent an email. I figure we'll figure. Do you want to start mapping it out already?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so good. I gotta figure all this out.
Yeah. So we got Mid Pines Shotgun in the morning on Friday. Southern Pines, the newly restored Southern Pines Golf Club, in the afternoon on Friday. Figure out probably dinner back at the house, and then Saturday we're gonna be a late wake up. So we're not playing golf till almost noon at Tobacco Road. So you kind of have the morning to relax, watch a little bit of early golf potentially. I don't think we can get out. Probably not worth it to spend, $150, $200 to go out to the tournament for 2 hours. But we'll mosey our way over to Tobacco Road and then up to the airport and back in time for Father's Day.
Yeah. And wait, so we golf at noon. What is that? Done at 4? What's the time's our flight? 6:30?
It's like almost 7. I think it's like 6:50. And we'll be like an hour from the airport. So I think it'll be fine.
Nice.
There you go.
It's funny, as I was thinking about this week, I've been thinking more about the golf and not as much even about the US Open aspect or even being off work for 5 days because I've been so focused on the whole thing about the lessons and the courses we're playing and everything else. It just kind of dawned on me today as I was going through my work day. I was like, oh, I'm not going to work for 5 days. This is going to be great.
Yeah. Yeah. I told my mom, I saw my mom today. I was like, she's like, well, you excited for your trip? And I said, Mom, I have not been this excited for any trip in a really long time. And she's like, oh, that's just because you're going by yourself. And I was like, well, yeah, but it's the US Open and we're playing like 3 of, this is like one of the top 5 golf destinations in the United States. And we're playing 3 of the premier non-Pinehurst courses in the area. And it's the RTG guys, and it's people I haven't seen in years. I'm really jazzed. It's gonna be fun. And to your point, Kyle, it's like just 5 days, just kind of put things to the side, and well, this is what buddies trips are meant to be.
Yeah,
this is correct.
All right, but there is a professional golf tournament going on, and we sometimes throw a little money on the line, so we should know a thing or two about what we're getting into. So, yeah, I know Jordan doesn't, but some of us here think it.
I know
think
nothing.
It matters.
I know
think
nothing.
It matters.
And I still
you know what?
Jon Snow.
I'm gonna tell our listeners right now that if you want a really good Pinehurst course preview, there are like 8 other pods out there that do a fantastic job. We're gonna give a nice little taste. But if you really want to go in depth, I mean, No Laying Up guys have done some good ones. Rick Game has done good ones. There's a ton of content out there, really good video previews, all of that. Like, use your resources, but we'll do a little bit of chatter here. Pinehurst number 2, there are now 10 courses at the Pinehurst Resort. Pinehurst number 1, if you're wondering, is a lot like Pinehurst number 3. It plays about 6,000 yards. It kind of winds through it's older kind of style track, narrow, lots of trees, winds through houses. And but Pinehurst, I think Donald Ross started this property at Pinehurst, builds number 1, and then turns around and says, I'm going to build the truest test of championship golf, and it's going to be Pinehurst number 2. And that's what it has been in various forms over the years. I think by this point, everybody here understands that U.S. Opens in 1999, 2005 look very similar, a lot like traditional U.S. Opens, narrow fairways, thick rough, fast greens. But the golf course was effectively restored to its original routing by Coore and Crenshaw back in 2010 in preparation for the 2014 men's and women's opens. And it now is a completely different place. The one nugget that I'll say on the restoration that I think I watched the fried egg video with Bill Coore. And I thought it was really interesting how they figured out how to reroute. They didn't reroute the holes. They just kind of reshaped the fairways and the way they flowed. And he said he had the superintendent go out and mark the original mainline irrigation that Donald Ross had installed, I think back in the whoever installed it back in like the 60s maybe, or in the 40s or whatever. And basically, like, if you were to look at the way the fairways went at the time in 2010, it was these very just like straight, like the dog days are just like straight to the green. And when they flagged the mainline irrigation, it was like these snaking main lines, because the old fairways used to kind of go around these sand dunes and bunkers and all that. And so he said it was really easy for us to reshape the holes because we just flagged the old main lines and just rebuilt the fairways to flow like that. So when we're there, you're going to see, like, it's not like, yeah, there's dog legs, but everything is like these like triple S's that kind of move around these dunes and bunkers. And it's just a really cool look. And I'm so excited to be able to walk it. But Kyle, you usually have the takes on what it takes for players to do well, or we think to do well at these courses. So what are the experts saying about getting it done at Pinehurst?
Yeah, I'm curious what your thoughts are on some of these this week. But anyway, I'm going to start off with the phrases of the week: wiregrass, pineweed, and champion ultra dwarf Bermuda.
I actually haven't heard. Yeah. No, I haven't heard pineweed. Do you know what? Do you have a picture? Do you know what it is?
Andy Lack talked about it on his Inside Golf Pod. So really since 2014, the changes they've made have been these sandy waste areas have been beefed up a little bit. You'll see more of the wiregrass, and then pineweed is a native weed around there. They're also just letting go. So that's increased. It's more of a thicker stemmed thing than
is that
even
like
the
gorse, like some people have referred to like gorse bushes, which I know are British, but gorse bushes on the course, is that maybe what that is? Okay,
I think so. That from my view of it. So that's the craziest thing to me. You see some of the videos like Matt Gannon, you talked about being out there, is you get off the fairway, you could be 10 yards off the fairway and you could be in that, or you could play pinball off the wiregrass and just be in a sandy waste area. But if you get way off, you might just be in a trample down gallery area and it might be okay. So I think that dynamic's going to be interesting. I think a lot of people are so far leaning accuracy off the tee just based on what we saw in 2014 and how much trouble could be out there. But it's almost, you might be better off if you're 15 yards offline as opposed to 5 yards offline. So I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic. Not that you can control that repeatedly though, right? So if you keep getting offline, you're going to be in more and more issue. And we're going to see a lot of long irons, even up to like some approaches 240 plus yards. Around the green is going to be really big this week. Shaved runoff areas. Missed greens can get dicey. You can run away from a hole, from a green 40, 50 yards just until one of those waste areas, because there is no rough to stop it. The other, I guess, term of the week would be the turtle shell greens. And I think one of the things that I'm latching onto the most is you're going to get bad breaks. Right? You just want guys that are going to stay level, avoid bogeys, avoid letting it cascade from 1 to 2 and from there. Um, my question to you, Mike, from you being out there so much, though, is like this wiregrass. How often does it actually like get caught and sit in it, as opposed to just kind of pinball off and find a lower, just sandy area?
It's a good question, and I haven't trying to think. I guess I've played the course a fair amount since 2010. I guess it's been a while, but the first thing I have to say is, Jordan, do you know what at least the locals call wiregrass?
I do not. Something racist because it's in North Carolina.
Love grass.
Wait, is my internet bad or is your guys' internet bad?
It's only you on my end.
Mine.
Well, we can hear you, Jordan. It's called love grass. It's called love grass
Oh.
because it just kind of tickles your calves. Kyle, to answer your question, personal experience would say you are more likely than not going to get a fine lie. To your point about pinball, it just kind of goes in there and it's going to bounce around and it's going to be fine. The problem is that one, you're still on hard pan sand. And I know these guys are professionals. They can hit shots off concrete if they want, but you're still on hard pan sand. So would I rather be in the fairway versus something that I'm hitting off of between the tufts of love grass? Yes. But if you do get in the love grass, it is at least a half to a full stroke penalty. You probably can advance the ball. I mean, are you certainly if you're in one of these what you call pine weeds, if it's like a gorse bush, you could be unplayable or you could be hitting it 4 feet. If you're in a tuft of love grass, I would say generally you could at least hack it out with a wedge and get it somewhat back in play. But it's not like a winged foot where you're in 6-inch rough and it's an automatic wedge back in play. So I don't think it's overblown. I think it adds a little bit of intrigue. It adds a ton of randomness. The bigger issue is that the balls run forever in the fairway and there's nothing to stop them. There's no first cut from keeping it to go into the waist area. And so if you're hitting a draw into a fairway, it's going to keep going left. And now it's not just about managing the shape of the hole, but it's like, well, where's my ball going to run out to? What's kill? It's like St. Andrews. You can hit drives that are perfectly fine, but just catch the slope the wrong way and you get penalized because they run out. So I think that's the bigger issue, is just trying to keep the ball out of there to begin with is a pretty tall task on especially as dry as it's going to be. But I don't know, especially hitting long irons out of it. I think you're going to be better off most of the time.
Sure. And I
think
your last point there is great. From a comp course standpoint, there's elements of it I like Augusta, just from the around the green play and some of the creative, short runoff areas you have to deal with. But I don't think it's going to be as much of a test as for length as Augusta is. I like Sawgrass from a strategy perspective. You have to really think your way around it. We go back and look at 2014. Martin Keimer won at 9 under. And then you had Will Compton and not Will Compton, that's a polo player. You have Compton and Ricky Fowler at 1 under, and then you have he won by 8. And then T4 that year was Keegan, Day, DJ, Brooks, Stenson. So I mentioned that because you have a variety of players there.
So the thing that we talk about strategy, and I heard, albeit Wyndham Clark, say this before getting absolutely roasted on Twitter for saying that the greens are almost borderline already. I don't know how many takes you saw in this, Kyle, but people saying, cool, borderline player calls greens borderline. They'll be fine for professionals. Or
Windy's really fallen off here.
yeah, he's been getting hit pretty hard for his lack of quality play recently. But he did say something, which is, it's not that you're intentionally trying to miss greens. but you're looking for the spot on every hole in every pin position where the easiest up and down is. And I know professionals are very good at that. Someone like Scottie Scheffler is good at that. That's why his floor is so high. But it's so important at Pinehurst because of those runoffs. There are spots on every green complex that are okay. And the example that I'll give comes from the 2014 US Open. And I want to say they were playing hole number 5 as a par 5 in the 2014 US Open. I wish it was still a par 4. It's playing as a 590-yard par 5, but this green complex is absolutely insane. And now guys are getting to hit wedges into it, which it's still some risk reward if you're going for it in 2, but it's like a 530-yard par 4. It's insane trying to hit a 5-iron into this green. But so what guys were doing, though, is they were intentionally flying the ball long and right of the 5th green because the left and left is so dangerous. They were intentionally flying it way right. And then it was a fairly straightforward putt from the collection area back up to the pin. And I think you're going to see a lot of that. I think you're going to see a lot of guys accepting just like, I'll hit into this collection area because it's easier to 2-putt from there than it is to try to hit the middle of the green and risk running off into some really dangerous place. And that's what Wyndham Clark was getting at was don't be surprised to see guys kind of all hitting to the same spot, even if it feels like they're missing the green.
Yeah, interesting. And I think this is what makes it so hard from a handicapping perspective, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe let's get into it. Let's start with the Survivor League workshop. And we don't spend a ton of time on this, but let's start with that because I've been all over the place, but I think I've zeroed in on a couple of names that if I were to say I want thinkers and guys that are not going to get flustered, I'm looking at my whiteboard. I have maybe 3 names that I think fit that mold and their form is what it is. But you want me to start, Kyle, or do you have other takes you want to offer up first?
All right. How about I run through the 4 guys I had jotted down first? Okay. I just jotted down some names based on what I was thinking through. Then I dug a little deeper. So I have some counterpoints on some of them. I'm curious how they overlap with the 3. So the first name I wrote down, when we had talked about this going into this week, was Bryson. I'm really struggling with the course fit for him. Because I think an implosion is very possible. Even when he finished well at Augusta, he still was doing crazy Bryson things and getting crazy off the tee. Maybe he can club down here and get away with some of it. But I would be scared making that click. And then the second name I wrote down was Cam Smith. But he's thinking of the around the green, the Houdini, this magic beans element. But his off the tee scares me, and he tied Anthony and Kim last week. Which, yes, yeah. So from there, I think the guy I like the most is Decky. He's made every cut at the U.S. Open since 2017. He made the cut here in 2014, and those aren't just making the cut by the hair of his teeth. He has some great finishes. He's only missed 1 cut at a U.S. Open ever. And he's not going to WD and screw the whole world, I wouldn't think, at a U.S. Open. So, or, put Sharpie on his club head or whatever that's burned us in the past. So I like Decky. The other one I would consider is Matthew Fitzpatrick. Just some of the U.S. Open, good around the green type vibes. He's cratered a little bit this year, but his form is not bad. He played well last week. Who did you have, Mike?
Bryson, Decky, Fitz.
Hey, look at us. We didn't talk about
that. Bryson, Decky, Fitz. Bryson, I think he will. So I think there's a little bit of a game. I don't know. There's game theory. I know we talk about you play your best players, you survive, and you move to the next week. With 6 players left, I do think, and the fact that there's 60 players making the cut out of 156 in absolutely insane conditions, it's possible someone wins this week. Every person has Bryson available. I haven't looked to see about Fitz and Fitzpatrick, but it's conceivable that everybody plays Bryson. And if everybody plays Bryson and it blows up, then the 6 guys chop the $5,200 that's in the pot or whatever. And hey, that's a nice take on the event. Or if you think everyone's playing Bryson and you want to fade Bryson, that's a route to go too. But I do think he's going to be a very popular pick this week, just given the trajectory that he's been on in major championships. I don't know. He kind of has. I think it was listening to No Laying Up. There's a lot of parallels to draw between Payne Stewart and Bryson DeChambeau. Someone who had been really kind of a hard nose bruiser around the tour, fallen out of favor with fans. It's kind of come back into favor with fans. Wore the beret or whatever you want to say at one point in his career. Like apparently he's been spotted recently wearing some +4s and all that. So there's a lot of mystique right now, I think, with Bryson and this tournament. And I think I tried to find the text. I got a new phone in the last few months. So I think I texted sometime last year that I thought Bryson was a play at Pinehurst. So I do think he's in play this week. But then going back to the sort of strategic thinkers, people that aren't going to be flustered, people that have performed well in U.S. Open conditions at all types of tournaments. I'm not saying that these are necessarily DFS plays, but I liked Fitz and I like Decky. I mean, Decky, obviously one of the most stoic golfers on tour, excellent iron player. It's just a matter of whether he gets a short game rolling. But you know that elite ball striking, especially with the irons, is going to be important here. And then Fitz, Gaiman sold me. Like he's been playing well, but he's playing his practice rounds with Eduardo Molinari, who is more or less as Gaiman said, the Scott Fawcett of the European golfers. And you can trust that Matt Fitzpatrick, who knows, writes down every single thing he ever does in golf, now playing with the master analytics mind of the Team Euro. What more do you want? He's going to have the master plan.
He's going to overthink it.
So I think it's Decky for sure. And then you got to decide between the other two. Bryson at the U.S. Open, 20th, 56th, 22nd, 6th, 1st, 35th, 25th. Yeah. He's not missed a cut since Aaron Hills. But I mean, granted, that was 2017. Bryson's a different golfer. He's reinvented himself 5 times. But yeah.
Yeah. I think with all 3 of those guys, and we can move on, my whole thing with this has been, can I sleep at night picking these guys? And if they miss the cut, I know that I made the best decision I could. I think with any combination of those 3, I can say that. So that's really funny that we narrowed it down that much. I'm firmly out on Cam Smith, by the way. So that was an easy call.
Well, I got there. I just wrote that name down and then I looked into it and then no.
Have you played Fleetwood yet?
Yes, at the Canadian. Because I honestly, I was like, overnight, I was like awake and I was like, it's Fleetwood. And then I checked the next morning and I was like, crap, I just played him like 2 weeks ago. All right, Kyle. Very limited expert content in the RTG universe, but if we had to have a early pick, what are they?
I'll just highlight the 5 names trending towards the top so far. As you said, we maybe have 30-40% of our contributors in, and then highlight some of the guys that are of interest to me at this point in time, given we're only on Monday night. Colin Morikawa and Hideki, as we just talked about, and Scottie so far leading the way from a mention share perspective. I would bet, given the price points, those 3 are going to stay at the top of our mention share. Colin's only 9,400 with how he's been playing, the type of course we're talking about here. I think Colin's a good fit. Decky is only $8,000. That's borderline crazy for what he's shown he can be as long as he doesn't WD. And Scottie's 13. Then right behind him, we have Xander at 11.5, 50% mention share, and Russell Henley, $6,900, 40% mention share. And those 2 guys, Xander has just been a machine at U.S. Opens. He's been playing great as well. He's been top 10 6 of the last 7 U.S. Opens, and the one that he was not top 10.
That's insane. I'm not shaking my head because no, that's just insane.
I was like, did I read that wrong?
No. It's just like I can't believe 14th. That.
Yeah, and he was 14th the time he was not top 10. So that at 11.5 You can do a lot more things with your lineup. I don't think we have a 5K range this week too, so you can fit them with Scottie if you wanted to get crazy. But I'm really interested in starting a lot of lineups with Xander at 11.5. I like Russell Henley at only 6,900. He's on my radar. Just a couple other names I'm interested in, and I'm gonna watch as we go on for this week. Hatton, Fleetwood, Keegan, who had a good finish here back in 2014, and until he ejected on Sunday, was playing some good golf last week too. Deck Hughes, we already talked about. Austin Ekro, and then of course Matthew Fitzpatrick.
We do have a 5K range this week. I'm not sure it's super attractive, because you do have so many players that are in this event that came in through sectional qualifying or other exemptions. And so that's what makes it tough with Scottie at 13, is that a lot of times we're talking up regular PGA Tour pros that you could fit in $5,700, $5,800. I still think you got to have a healthy amount of Scottie Scheffler at 13K. Like it's like very easily going to be in the optimal lineup at the end of the week. But other guys, I think that the 6K range, I think it's really interesting with guys that you wouldn't be surprised to see hanging around at least top 20 by the end of the week. Just highlighting a few here. I said Henley. I had him as you want to get kind of nuts in one and done. We're not going to get cute, but Henley on the board, Sepp Straka on the board, Alex Noren. Who else I'm looking at? Where was I guess Tom Kim's coming in at 7,300, a guy that's kind of turned his game around. And then the guy that Kyle, I thought that we were both really liking this week, but really hasn't lost strokes across the board outside of the tournament in Houston. But Dean Burmeister is having a great year wherever he plays. No matter what tour he plays on, Dean Burmeister. I could see getting a little bit of him this week.
Dino.
What do you think, Jordan? Huh?
Oh, sorry. My internet's still being weird because I could see your lips moving and I couldn't hear anything. Well, I was like, oh, I should set up our thing right now because I usually set it up before we pod, and now we're a day early, but we can get some more people in. I'll get the DraftKings up here in a second. No, Fleetwood was gonna be one of my plans. Good last year. Pretty good U.S. Open history.
Does have one of the few 63s. Yeah, very accurate.
And he's not a head case like some other golfers. The other one I looked at was Justin Thomas. I don't know if I trust him at $8,900, so that seems expensive for someone who's
honestly, I kind of feel like he's probably $200 or $300, $400 cheaper than he could be. But the problem is nobody trusts him. And I have the same thought about Max Homa at 8,600. Both of those guys, can absolutely be grinders in tough conditions and have performed. Max hasn't as good of a major track record, but I don't know. I feel like the 8Ks are going to have has gonna be a real soft spot this week outside of Hideki at 8K. I don't know. I think there's going to be, if you want to get weird, you could probably hit a lot of those guys in that mid 8K range.
Yeah, just the way pricing is in lineup construction is going to work. People are going to start with a Scottie or a Xander at the top, and that's just going to force you to go lower. So if you get yourself to go down board at the top of your lineup, you're going to have a lot of options.
Yeah. Well, my other one was going to be Siwoo. You know me, I'm always a Siwoo guy, but $6,800 is a cheap Siwoo bet on the year when he's been playing pretty good. Pretty good. I've been watching Curb also, if you couldn't tell.
Kyle, I don't know. I have a couple of other just takes from on the ground, but are there any other player highlights you want to make? Any other course thoughts?
Nope, early look. We'll get you some thoughts when we're out there Thursday, I think. And yeah, I want to get on to the other stuff, Mike. Let's go.
The other stuff. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, just from a viewing perspective, someone asked me this question. We're there for one day, which I've been to a lot of, major high level golf tournaments over the years, and I've done it a lot of different ways. And I'll say host Papa Koziak is it traditionally was a pick 2 spots or 3 spots during the day, sit on the holes for 2-3 hours and just really kind of watch the play come through, study the angles, learn something about the golf course. And I've done that, and that works. My gut feel, especially because you guys haven't been down there, this is your first time on the property for the foreseeable future, is to at least walk most of the golf course. We're gonna be if we're on property for 10 hours or whatever it is, like to at least make sure, we don't have to loop back 4 green and 5 tee. Like getting out back there is kind of maybe a waste of a half an hour, but at least trying to hit all the parts of the golf course so you can see it. How do you feel about that?
I like moving.
Yep. I think that
Yeah.
sounds like a good idea. I don't need to get the whole course, like you said, right? Let's be smart about it. Follow a couple.
I mean, there's
of
merch
the-
tent, there's range,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
like
but
the
so I
main
guess
clubhouse area.
what do we do? We do merch tent first, and then
Yeah,
carry
because
it
I'm
all
worried.
day?
Well, but I'm worried. There's re-entry available. Like, do we? So I don't want to run home.
You're in the best
I don't
shape,
want all the.
Mike. Mike, you're in the best shape. We'll buy stuff. You can run it back and then run back. You said it's only a
Love that
mile.
idea. I
It's a
love
two
that
mile,
idea.
It isn't a
90
bad
degree
idea.
jog, or we can have someone. Maybe Kevin will drive you, come pick you up, drive back, and then you guys can walk back together.
I just don't want to risk a whole Thursday worth of the gallery going through the merch and just have stuff being sold out.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm
so
not worried about that as much.
I'm actually more
you're
interested.
not us.
I'm more interested in buying stuff at the courses we're playing than here.
Mm.
Like, I don't need US Open gear. I want Pinehurst gear, which they won't, they'll have the logo and stuff on
Yeah.
it. But like, I'm gonna get Mid Pines, Southern Pines, Tobacco Road. I just sent Rachel I was looking, I still have my Masters flag up, and I was like, oh, do you think it'd be okay if I put like 10 flags up in the office between these courses and playing the Scotland next year? Like, I could have a pretty solid flag collection going. So that might be the
Yeah, I said my wife she said I guess I swung through the club over the weekend, and she was like, "Oh, did you scope out like a Father's Day outfit or something like that?" And I said, "I'm about to go on a golf trip to the U.S. Open." I said, let's just put that towards the merch tent." Other things on the ground. So my dad is volunteering at the U.S. Open. He's volunteering. So you got a really good schedule too. So when you volunteer, you get access to the tournament Monday through Sunday. And I think he said he requested only Friday off so that he could golf with us one of the rounds. And they gave him Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday volunteer work. So he ends up with a free volunteer access ticket Thursday through Sunday with no work responsibilities. So he was out there today. Yeah, it was a really, really good deal.
So when are we getting the boots on the ground reports from Papa K? We can be tweeting out again and stuff.
He did. I'll tell you what he said. It wasn't a lot. I mean, I didn't have too many questions, but he said it was looking. He says he worked the back gate on 5, so it must be a gate back on the 5th tee box, which is this now par 4 converted to par 5 because the previous hole par 4 was a par 5 that was converted to a long par 4. He was working the back gate. He said the course looks great. It's very green, no burned out fairways. And I said, whoa! I thought we wanted it crusty. That's what we want. We want no rain. We want stuff to be hard and dry. And I said there was a lot of backlash in 2014 that the course didn't look good on TV. And so I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they're painting fairways. I don't know if they're what, but he said it was firm out there, but it was not brown. So I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I was just watching a video. I was like, while you guys were talking about golfers, about the Pinehurst U.S. Open. I was like, it does look
golfers.
brown. It does look brown.
Yeah, I
like
bet it.
I bet it. They've been overwatering it so that it's green, and then probably shut the water off a week or two ago to start hardening it up.
He said he was watching Lowry and Dietrich at the time we were talking hit tee shots on 6, which was playing 228 yards. And what's crazy about, like, I mean, 6 is going to play tough. It'll be a tough par 3, but 228 yards. And because of these crown greens, like, there's like a 7 or 8 foot rise in front of the green. So there's no chance to, like, land it anywhere in the front third of the green and have it chase up, because everything's just going to die and kill it and run it right back down to the bunker on the left. So, I mean, you're just having to fly shots 228 and then hold it on top of this bowl. Just crazy. His commentary was, Lowry's not as big as he seems.
Real quick side note, you listened to the No Lane Up deep dive, right? Where apparently at what was it, 2014, Shane Lowry was paired with 2 other bigger guys, and they were making a big deal out of it because it's like, there's no way this is random. You put the 3 fat guys together.
And that was the USGA had always done kind of goofy stuff before that. They'd always would do like 3 guys with the same name, or 3 guys from the same country, or 3 past winners, whatever. They would do stuff like that. And then they got a little cheeky and did Kevin Stadler, Brenda DeYoung, and Shane Lowry together, who, I mean, honestly had to be collective 800 pounds. Like, these guys are big guys. And he actually took some serious offense to it, which kind of should. That was, I think that probably crossed the line a little bit, but he's had some staying power on tour, no complaints. But I'm curious, the USGA, I don't know if they've done a ton of that recently. That's what I'm saying. I haven't seen the tee times yet. Other takes. Did you see the story on the faulty grandstands?
Uh-oh.
No.
Seats are collapsing.
So we're staying out of the seats deal.
Well, we just kind of had this chat of, probably limited time in the seats anyways, but seats are collapsing.
The seats, like the 2 tournaments I've been to, and anytime I've sat in the seats, you just sit and sweat your ass off.
Yeah, there's no
shade. They don't put them where there's shade, right? So you were just baking in the sun. That was actually the Masters. The par 3 Amen corner. It is literally, the sun is just directly at you, and everyone in that stand is just dripping. But yeah, back to we're planning to walk around and be in the shade of trees, and yeah.
Well, gents, what else? Anything else? I mean, this is it.
The next time we talk.
Oh yeah. We got you. I guess yeah. We normally close the show with the name game. We said we were going to hold name game for later this week, because we will have a bonus episode at some point this weekend as we're hanging out, spectating, post golf. We'll figure something out. But Kyle, I got to imagine you found a way to get some action.
Well, so from a betting perspective, and then we need to go into our bets for the golf.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. Yes, one more topic. Yes. You're right. I'm sorry.
Yes,
those are the important bets. I don't care about
those. Are the important ones. All right, here's your losers for the week. I might have fired on one before I did more in-depth research, as we've talked about, but I bet Cam Smith 40-1, and then Matthew Fitzpatrick 40-1, Brian Harmon 130-1, Jordan's boy. If there's some comp to Royal Liverpool, let's go. That was 2 units, 1 unit, and I had to find a way to get exposure to Scottie. So my big bet of the week, Scottie outright, Xander top 20. We've already outlined how he's been a top 20 machine, and Russell Henley top 40. 5 units on that. That gets me up to 1056. So 5 to 158. I'll take it. And then, since we are going to be out there on Thursday, I had to get some first round leaders in. Scottie, you can get him at 12. So I went there. I have Fitz and have Keegan Bradley. Probably will throw one more long shot bomb in for first round leaders as well. All right. Now the fun ones,
Let
right?
me start this by saying I sent the trip itinerary a week ago, whatever, and I said I said I also start thinking about some props for our golf for the socials. And I hadn't really made progress on it, hadn't written anything down. And then Kyle, out of nowhere, you respond today with this beautiful email that almost brought a tear to my eye. I was so excited to see all the thought that went into this. And I want to share it with our listeners because it's exactly what I wanted and more out of nowhere. So maybe you should do the honors of introducing some of these over under prop lines for our golf trip for the week.
Done. And so I think to start, well, first off, I asked about traffic, and then I just launched into this in my email. And so our current handicaps, and unfortunately, this is going to change since Jordan's going to play tomorrow. But Mike is a 1.9, Jordan is a 7.1, and I'm a 22.4. Good spread there. So based on what I could find online, the first course we're playing in the Raleigh area is a 72, par 72. Mid Pines is a 72, Southern Pines is 71, and Tobacco Road's a 71, I believe. So our over under bets. So Mike started off. He said over under 1.5 birdies for Kyle. I put the line for Jordan at 4.5 and Mike at 6.5. Jordan took offense to the Mike line. He thought it needs to be much higher.
It's got a lower. Oh, birdies.
Well, more birdies.
Yeah. Unfamiliar. It doesn't really matter. I say unfamiliar golf courses, and the fact that I've played 2 non-home courses this year, 18 hole rounds, and I've made 1 birdie between them. I think if I can beat 6.5, that's pretty good. But if Jordan wants to make it 10.5, that's fine. It's just easy money on the under. I think 6.5 is a good number. I think it's a good number for courses I've never played. And the fact that I suck.
I don't know if I ever play with Mike when he doesn't have a birdie. So there's at least 4 rounds, 4 birdies.
I didn't make one at the Meadows on Sunday,
right? And
like par 5s.
And like if we're not playing the furthest back tees, like it's
fair.
Game gets easier for Mike that it doesn't quite get for you and I, Kyle.
It does. I'm a ball striking machine right now.
That's fair. So the thought process was what, like 1.5 per round for Mike and 1 per round for Jordan. Well, I think if we leave Mike at 6.5, maybe Jordan should only be 3.5.
We haven't decided what we're doing with all of this, but I will say for the listeners, we'll put something out there. There will be at least a prize or prizes to win. Humor us, make some picks. We'll get the lines out. I'm okay with that. I think Jordan 1 per round would. If you made 1 per round,
I get lots of pars, is what I get. Pars and bogeys. Not too many doubles, not too many birdies.
Okay, all right.
3.5.
Yeah, bump it down to 3.5.
We'll go Jordan 3.5. All right, and then we're throwing out a group eagle.
Group eagles over a half, I think is fine. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Net eagle. Does that include a net eagle for Kyle?
These are all gross.
No, just all gross.
Net eagle for Kyle, I think should count.
I'll get a net eagle. Come on, this is all gross. Yeah. All right, average score. This one generated a lot of
challenge. New bet. Kyle net eagle. $5. Mike and I each get $5 from you if you don't get one, and we give you $5 if you get one.
50. All right.
That's a lot.
Average score. So I try to do some math here, and I mess these initial shots up. So we're workshopping this, but I put mine as 101.5. That is actually exactly my average score of the last 8 rounds I've played.
I'll give you that. Tobacco Road's gonna be really tough.
Yes. Well, that's yeah. So there's that. I have that 101.5 includes a 112, by the way, which is probably what I could shoot at Tobacco Road. Jordan, your last 8 rounds on your Again app is 80.75. And then Mike's is 79.63. So average score, and then I was trying to relate it to handicaps. So I have mine at 101.5. I'm thinking Jordan's needs to be like 83.5.
I was gonna say 82.5. But I do think it's around there. And I don't know that I'm gonna beat 80.5, but if you put me at like 78.5, I think that's fair.
What do you think, Jordan?
Jordan seems to
Alright.
think that I'm better
Let's
than
give
I
him
am.
some.
But
Let's give him something to play for. Maybe I would 79.5. We'll compromise.
all
That
right.
means you're either
Is
in
Mike
the,
gonna
your
break
average is in the
80
80s or
most
it's
of
in
the
the
time?
70s. Yeah.
So Mike is a 6. Well, he's 5 points in his handicap better than you, and you're only giving him 3 strokes there. Just saying.
Right, I'm only giving him 3 strokes there.
Well, he's
Just a-
only giving you 3 strokes
That's
there.
true, and he should be giving me 6, shouldn't he?
But you're
Depending
giving
on the
me.
course, 5 to 7.
We'll see what the betters want. We'll see what the
I know.
betters want. We'll see what the betters
So
want.
this is
We'll
why I
come
had
up-
yours originally higher, Jordan. Because if I set mine at 101.5, it went slightly higher for you, and then you're 14. Well, like that's how I landed where I did.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. We can raise mine. It's fine. No, I do think we say when we're down there, we can figure out how many of these we have, and then we all have to play against our own thing, and whoever beats their own number gets money from the
Collects.
other two. But like for total, like I beat 3 of my 5, you beat 2 of your 5, you pay me money.
Yeah.
So I think we
like
set
it.
Mike at 79.5. Jordan, we'll bump you 1 to 83.5 is what I would suggest.
Okay.
All right. Best score of the 4 rounds. I had myself at 96.5, Jordan at 80.5, and Mike at 74.5.
I think this is pretty good. Jordan is a lock to shoot in the 70s, but I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay having this number at 80.5. Even if you put it at 79.5, I think he beats it. But and 74.5 for me is fine. Like, I hope in 4 rounds with everything I've been working on, I can get it going. But unfamiliar golf courses, we'll see.
All right, I think we moved Jordan to 79.5, but then otherwise we're good.
Okay. Hold shots from not on the green. I love this, but I think all these numbers are way too high.
It should be a half.
It should be a half across the board.
Well,
putts
okay.
don't count. Putts don't count.
No, you could putt off the green.
Well,
so that's the thing.
Way off.
I am making putts from off the fringe anyways. So like the fact that I have to 3.5, like that's 1 around. 1 around, I'm gonna hole from off the green. No way.
Okay, well maybe so. I initially had these all at 1.5, funny enough, because I'm like I'll probably hit a lot more than you guys would because I won't hit the green, so I'll have chances to chip in or putt in.
But you're not a good chipper. So
yeah, you're a terrible chipper.
No, well, actually, this year I've been a much better chipper. I'm sure that's gonna come back to haunt me.
I'll take the under, Kyle. I'll take the under.
So I should go to a 0.5 and you guys all 1.5.
Fine. I think it's.
Yeah, I haven't chipped in years, probably.
I do like this next one though.
And balls lost in marked hazards.
Because of the definition that I need. Balls lost in marked hazards. So first of all, not balls lost in non-marked hazards, and not balls found in marked hazards.
Well,
so if I find the ball in the hazard, so
well, if it's not playable, if you can't get to it, it's lost. All right.
I thought it was more like who blows through a dozen golf balls on a trip.
Well, and I had to go in marked hazards because if there's some long grass that looks janky from a snake perspective, I'm not going to get it.
The snake perspective.
Isn't Tobacco Road supposed to be super snaky?
Yeah, the other thing, count. This is no joke. No joke. Do not dip your hand in water hazards to grab a ball around the edge, because the copperheads will get you.
I don't go by water.
Oh, your ball does.
Well, yeah. Then I just lose it. See. That's why I'm
I
going to
think-
lose 12 balls and marked hazards.
I think these numbers.
cannot wait.
These numbers
I've been texting with Kevin. He's the one that's going to sacrifice himself to clip the snake onto your polo.
yeah, of course.
Don't mess with me. Somebody's going to get hurt. I'm not joking. If whatever club is in my hand is in your head, now that's just going to be used as evidence against me.
I think the numbers are fine here. Sure. 12,
6, and 4.
Sure. Book it. Next category. We got 2 left.
Bunkers, sandy areas, since we just have these waste areas, that take more than one shot to exit.
This is really tough because you might have a sandy area that's like 150 yards long and you might hit it and it might stay in. But I think there's probably some judgment call on like the general vicinity.
Yeah. Has to go
did
at
you
least,
leave the ball in the bunker?
Yes, has to go at least
Correct.
5 yards, or like out of a 10-yard circle around you.
It's 16 at Tobacco Road. Is that the famous bunker?
I think it's 9. Got
The
like the
super
20-foot bunker.
deep one. Yeah. That was the thought process behind this.
I don't know. I think it's Kyle 2.5, Jordan Mike 0.5. I don't know. These are your normal bunkers out here. I think you leave the numbers where they are, but I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 of us are on the over on this one.
And then the last one is just a great one, I think. Are they dry off the 17T in our first round?
At the Prestonwood Highlands.
Prestonwood Highlands course. It's 154 yards from the blue tees to an island green. Very TPC Sawgrass-esque.
Longer, too.
I gave myself a no at minus 350. I switched Jordan. At first, I had Jordan as a minus no, but then I switched him to a yes minus 105. Mike, I gave yes 250, and then the Mr. Book, who's taking us out, I said it's his home course, yes minus 150.
I think this is pretty good. I do think that Joe, Jordan, and I all hit the green on this one.
I would go. So Kyle, you did yours the negative. I would do yours the positive and do like plus 2,000
to make it, to hit it.
To make it, yeah. I don't want a negative. I want. What are the odds that you make it? I want to take that bet, not. I want to win. I want to win money when you do well, not.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't want to cheer against you. Yeah, I don't want to.
And I don't want to make 40 cents on the dollar for you to do what's obviously going to happen.
154. I wish that was 10 yards shorter, but I'm thinking like plus 400, plus 500.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Maybe make it 450. We'll split the difference. You guys, shows run long. This is going to be a quick one. We've now done one of our longer shows. Shows you how excited we are to just to spend the week together. We'll figure out something to do with all these lines. Someone's got to win something off of it. So, Kyle, thank you for putting some thought into that. It was really creative. Good replacement for the name game. All right, that's it. We're headed to the U.S. Open in just over 24 hours. I look forward to seeing you guys bright and early at the airport in Minneapolis here, and I look forward to a great week down there. Of course, this is the week to follow us on Twitter at RTG Podcast DFS. All 3 of us will be more active than normal. If you need something while we're down there, please reach out, DM us, add us on Twitter. We'll do our best on Thursday to get the insights you need from the U.S. Open. Otherwise, check out our content on YouTube or any major podcast platform every Wednesday morning, this week Tuesday, normally every Wednesday morning, each week of the PGA Tour season. And we'll be back in a week with the results of the U.S. Open and look ahead to the Travelers Championship. See ya.